Hello and welcome to everyone listening to the Written in Melanin podcast, the space where you come to get your weekly dose of melanated creativity. Wherever this day may have found you, I'm so glad that you are here. I'm your host, C.M. Lockhart, an author of fantasy books featuring Black girls who aren't all that nice, and the owner of the Melanin Library, your place to find books of all genres written by Black authors. And welcome to episode number 16 of the Written in Melanin podcast, you guys. So originally I was actually going to talk to you guys about something else, but this was really just on my spirit to talk to you guys about, so I changed it. So this is going to be kind of off the cuff, but I don't know who needs to hear this today, but I'm definitely going to say this for myself. Belief in yourself. This creative journey, whatever creative journey that you are on, is not an easy one, but it is definitely one worth being on, so keep going. I say that because I know for me in recent days, recent weeks really, I have had this idea in the back of my mind that has been really kind of negative and really just kind of like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this. Maybe I need to rethink what I'm doing. And it's not even one of those things where it's like, oh, I want to quit. It's just kind of like, is this as far as I go? Is this the end of my journey? Have the wheels fallen off of my bus that I'm trying to ride to get to wherever it is that I'm going? And I feel like as creatives, we have these moments where we're just kind of like, is this the end? Maybe I've gone as far as I can go. And for me, it's one of those things where I know that I have not gone as far as I can go. It was just a lot of self-doubt this past couple of weeks because of a lot of the things that I were worth going through. Can't talk. Because of a lot of things that I was going through and some of the things that people said to me that just kind of had me second guessing what I was doing and if this is right for me. And I was just like, in the back of my mind, I'm really grateful for the people who do support me and who are like, no, you're absolutely doing the thing that we think you should be doing, and you're doing the thing that you're meant to be doing, because it gives me the confidence to believe that, like, no, I am doing what I need to be doing. I don't necessarily need to go out here and get a quote unquote real job. And I'm not saying that I'll never do that. I don't know what the future holds for me, but I am saying that I haven't even really tried yet. My first real book, and I say real because my actual first book was a novella, and We Are the Origin is coming out in June, and it is a novel, a fantasy novel. And I'm like, I haven't even put out my fantasy novel yet. I haven't even tried. And even then, there are so many people who I don't know, who I've never met, who only know me from the internet, who are like, I want your book. I'm looking forward to your book. And that to me is like, absolutely incredible and amazing and just like wild to me. But also it's a reminder that there are people who are out there who want my finished products, who want what I am creating. And it's not just something in my head. It's not just something that I made up that I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally do this. And it's not something that I went into thinking, oh, this is going to be super easy. Like anybody can write a book. Like, no, there is a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort that goes into this. And I just don't want to quit before I see it to the end, before I see it through, And I feel like that's a different conversation from, I did everything I could and it just bombed. There's absolutely nothing I can do. I love creating, but creating is a passion and it's something that I cannot monetize. I feel like that is a completely different conversation from, okay, I'm just doubting myself or I don't believe in myself, which is why I said in the very beginning, believe in yourself, because this creative journey is not an easy one. And I feel like so many people who are not creatives feel like it is. They kind of see the outward appearance of it, like, oh, you're just sitting there. Oh, you get to work for yourself. Oh, all you have to do is sit there and make up stories. And it's just like, do you know how hard it is to make up a story? And if you're listening to this and you're not a creative and you're just listening to support, if you don't know how hard it is to make up a story, what I want you to do, I'm going to give you a homework assignment, okay? I want you to go find a child, a literal child, okay? Someone under the age of 10 who likes stories, and I want you to tell them one on the spot. See how hard it is, because the minute you have to create, it's just like, oh, what's going to happen next? Oh, that doesn't make sense. And children, I say tell it to a child because children have no filter and they will tell you the story is boring or I don't want to listen anymore. It is difficult. And to do that for hundreds of millions of strangers, or how many ever strangers, and to just bare your soul and everything in your heart and mind for other people to read and critique and judge and share with each other and talk about, that's a hard thing to do. And I just say all of that because someone needs to hear it. So I will keep saying it. Believe in yourself, believe in your creativity, believe in what you are doing, and trust in your own journey, because you started doing this for a reason. That is a fact. No one ever wakes up and they're like, ooh, you know what I want to do today? I want to struggle to make money. No one does that. Literally no one does that. And when you choose to be a creative, essentially you're making that decision. You're like, okay, I'm going to create something and I'm going to attempt to sell it to people, and I hope they like it, and I hope they like it enough to keep selling it. Because the idea that a lot of us have in our minds, I'm not going to say everybody because I'm not going to generalize like that, but the idea that a lot of us have in our minds from the beginning is that the authors that we come across in our youth or our impressionable days or the beginning of our journey, whatever point that is, whether that's like when you were 3 years old or whether it's when you're 30 years old, that moment where you look back on it in hindsight and you're like, that was the moment that I decided I wanted to be an author. And for a lot of us, it's reading an amazing book. And we see this book and we hear this book, or whatever it is. If someone's reading it to you, you hear it, right? But you experience this book, this content, and you're like, I want to be like this person. I want to do this thing. I want to create like this person creates. And a lot of times, for a lot of us, that book is from a traditionally published author who is a full-time author who is making bank off of that book. And we're like, that is what we want to do. Or even if it's not your first experience, at some point, usually most authors who are serious about their craft and serious about wanting to do it full time and serious about wanting their craft to support them have a moment where they're like, I want to be able to make money off of this and to support myself and be comfortable. And that is such a large goal because it's hard. It's really hard. It's difficult. And it takes time and effort and energy and blood and sweat and tears and all the other sayings that go into a passion, right? But I say all that to say that even knowing that, we make the choice to start this journey. And so I say that to say, you have to trust your journey. Not everyone's journey is going to be the same length. Not everyone's journey is going to have the same obstacles. Some people are never going to have to cross that hurdle of having an unsupportive family. Some people have supportive families. That's not their obstacle that they're going to have to get over. Some people are not going to have as long of a journey. If you are a self-published author, your journey is not going to look the same as someone who is indie published by someone else, like a different publishing house, a smaller publishing house, or someone who is traditionally published. It's not going to look the same. And the obstacles that you're going to have to get over are not necessarily going to be the obstacles that someone else has to get over. And you can start your journey at the same time and same place as someone else. Like maybe you're both indie authors and you started literally within a day or two of each other and y'all are on the same journey, but their journey is a lot shorter to get where they're going because maybe their goals are different. Or maybe what they wrote is different, their skill is different, the type of book that they write is different, their marketing is different, or they just got a stroke of luck. You know, their journey may not be as long as yours to get where they're going, or their journey may be a lot longer than yours, and you're just kind of like, I don't understand what you're going through because I didn't have to cross over those bridges. I didn't have to clear that path. I didn't have to go that far to get where I was going, you know? So I say that to say that you have to trust in what you're doing and where you're going and know that if you're putting in 100%, if you know that you're doing what you can do, that is enough. It will get you where you need to go, regardless of if it's where you think you want to end up or not. When you trust your journey and where you're going, you will always end up in the right place. Always. At least that's what I believe. I am a firm believer that if you are walking in a direction that you feel is right, even if it's not where you thought you would end up, you're still going to end up in the right place. That's just how I think. Maybe everyone doesn't think that way, but I kind of have to think that way because so much of how I live my life is just based on gut feeling and gut feeling of I need to do this. I don't need to do this. I'm on the right path. Okay, it's time for me to switch focus. And so far, my 27 years, it's not led me astray. And it's led me to like have faith and trust that everything happens for a reason. And that's, I feel like so many people use that vaguely, but truly that's how I feel. Everything happens for a reason. And with that in mind, I definitely want to say this because this is something that I've been having to remind myself of in the last couple of days. And that is just that this journey of creativity, it is a walk of faith and not a leap of faith. Let me say that again. This journey of creativity is a walk of faith and not a leap of faith. And the reason I say that is because a lot of authors, if you listen to them talk about their journey, they talk about taking a leap of faith, of leaving their full-time job or betting on themselves or whatever it is. And for me, my perspective, it's a walk of faith because yeah, you need that initial leap, but it's continuing that. It's continuing to create even when you don't have a fan base. It's continuing to believe in yourself even if you don't have a supportive family, if you don't have supportive friends, if you don't know what you're doing, if you realize that everything you've put your time and energy into is wrong, if you don't have a platform, if you don't know how to work social media. It's having faith that it'll work out. It's having faith that it's okay, I will figure it out. It's having faith that I will find my community, because undoubtedly at some point, if you spend time on the internet, you're going to look for community, and 9 times out of 10, that first community that you find is not going to be the right one. And that's not throwing shade at anyone. That's just kind of the reality of being on the internet and trying to find your tribe. A lot of times we come across people who we like, who we want to be our tribe, who we think could be our tribe, and they are not. And it is having faith in your creativity and your journey and what you're doing to be like, okay, this wasn't for me, but I will find them. This wasn't for me, but I will keep moving. This isn't for me, but I will keep going. And I feel like that's such an important aspect of being a creative that's not talked about enough. Like there's so much belief that has to go into yourself and what you're doing. And it is so easy to lose that sometimes. It's so easy to be like, you know what? Maybe I should stop. Because there are a lot of people who kind of, go to their grave with a book inside of them because they didn't have the faith to keep going, or they didn't have the ability to. And I don't know, in my mind, I was kind of like, I don't want to get to the end of my life and think, man, I should have wrote that book. Man, I should have kept going. I was on the edge of a breakthrough and I just quit. You never know what's on the other side of an obstacle. It could be your last one. You never know. And if you let this last obstacle be the one that defeats you, I feel like personally, for me, I feel like that's something that I would never be able to really get over or let go. To know that if I had just gone a little bit further, I would have seen the light at the end of the tunnel. If I had just gone a little bit further, I would have gotten to where I wanted to go. And even if I don't, even if the light isn't at the end after I get over this one obstacle, that doesn't mean that there is no light at the end of the tunnel, period. It just means I haven't gone far enough to see it. I need to keep going. Because I also think about the fact that, like, in this metaphor of being in a dark tunnel, right? If I've gone far enough where there's no light behind me, I've definitely gone too far to turn around, And it's like, yeah, I may know the obstacles back where I came from, but I've already completed those. What's the point of going back? What's the point of stopping? What's the point, And I'm like, if there's no reason to stop, I'm not going to. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing this thing. And it's not going to be until I absolutely cannot, until I have absolutely exhausted every resource available to me, that I'm going to be like, okay, now I'm done. It's not until I know with conviction that at the end of my life, I'm going to be like, I did absolutely everything I could have. I am not ashamed of that. Then and only then will I be like, okay, now we can call it quits. But I am nowhere near that point, and I have not exhausted all of my efforts, all of my energy, all of my possibilities. So there's no way that I'm going to quit now, even though I had a lull in my confidence. Not going to quit, and I'm here to tell you that you should not quit either. But that is it. I just want you guys to know that there is a reason to keep going. I can't tell you what your reason is, but keep going. Believe in yourself, believe in your talent, believe in the reason that you chose to be a creative, believe in the reason that you have chosen to keep being a creative, and, just trust the journey that you're on and know that you are going to end up where you need to end up, regardless of where you think that will be. But that being said, let's just move on to Chelsea's corner of this podcast. And I'm excited for the things that are coming up for me because, like I said, after that lull in my confidence, I've kind of come back with a full force. At least my spirit has. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot more confident. I feel a lot more optimistic about things. And that has really boosted my creativity. So now my brain is just like running at 1,000 miles a minute. And it's kind of overwhelming, but I also really, really love it. So currently I am working on adding 2 scenes to the book. So if you guys were a beta reader for me, you did not read these scenes because they did not exist when I sent it to you. But based on the feedback that I got, I'm adding 2 scenes to the book, and I really think it'll help level up this final version of the book and add a little bit more clarity and answer a couple of more questions, and also be a better segue into book 2. And I'm just really excited about it. I have a critique partner, Amanda Ross, and I am so excited for her to read it because she gives really amazing feedback. And I'm optimistic. I think that is the word for today. I'm so optimistic about what is to come and what I'm working on. I'm also working on adding more descriptions to my book because, let's be real with you here. I'll be really honest with you guys. I am what they call an underwriter. And traditionally, as far as I know, writers fall into 2 categories, either an overwriter or an underwriter. And an overwriter is exactly what they sound like. They write way too much. And so their edits is usually having to cut things and be like, okay, this is great, but it can't be included in the story. And then there are people like me who are underwriters, where it's just like, I write things and it makes sense, but sometimes I kind of glance over or skip over the details because in my mind, I'm just kind of like, you need to know the big thing. The little thing you can kind of imagine for yourself, but sometimes there are some things that need to be included. And so an underwriter, when they get edits, are usually you have to go back and add things into the story. And so as an underwriter, I know that I need to add things. And so after having talked to some of my beta readers, several of them pointed out that they wanted more details. Not that things didn't make sense, so let me be clear about that. They didn't say that anything didn't make sense or that it was confusing. They just said that as the reader, they wanted more detail. And I was like, okay, well, I can do that. So I'm also working on that. And I'm jotting down ideas for book 2, you guys. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to get started on book 2. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so fun because I've literally been just jotting down stuff. And when I tell you that there's going to be more violence in the second book, I just need y'all to know that when Assassin says it's on site means on site, okay? And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. And I don't know if I watch too much anime or play too many video games and I've been desensitized to violence, but fantasy violence amuses me. And so thinking about writing my own fantasy violence has me really hyped. So I'm really looking forward to that. There's also going to be more politics in the second book. So I'm really excited to get into that because it's really going to expand the world and the lore and everything else and how the gods play into the politics of this world. And it's going to be amazing. There's also going to be more romance. I still do not write sex scenes, so please don't come to my story for that. But there is a secondary plot of romance. So there's going to be more of that. And there's going to be more friendships. I'm introducing new characters, and when I tell y'all that I have been planning them out in my head and jotting down notes, I'm just like, this bitch is gonna be fine. She's gonna be fire. She's going to be amazing. Y'all are gonna love her. Y'all are gonna love her so much. I hope y'all love her because I already love her, and I need y'all to love her because she is everything, honestly. I mean, I love Brandy. Brandy's the main character, don't get me wrong. I love her, and she is chef's kiss. She's really honestly my favorite character to write about because Brandy is just so it is what it is, fight me. And I just love that energy for her. But this new character that y'all are gonna meet, when I tell you that this girl is going to be Brandy's match and then some, I am so ready to write this friendship. Y'all are going to absolutely love it. And then I'm bringing back a character that I introduced in the first book, who initially she was just supposed to be a throwaway character, and she's coming back and she's going to have a backstory and she's going to have development. And I'm so excited for it. I am so excited for it. Like, the more I talk about it, the more I'm just like, I need to go ahead and sit down and get on these keyboards, because this story is not going to write itself, and I need to go ahead and write it because I need somebody else to experience this with me. So that's the kind of point that I'm at currently. And also, they're just going to be more about the gods, and they are so multifaceted, and I love that for them. And I'm just really looking forward to, just being in this world and getting back into it and writing more and sharing more, because a lot of the feedback that I have gotten is I'm ready for book 2. And I can't even tell you guys how much that like strokes my ego as an author, where people are like, yeah, so book 2, let me know when it's ready. I need it. And I'm just like, okay, I got you. All right. But yeah, that's it. I'm just working on my book, you guys, and I'm excited and I'm optimistic, and I feel really refreshed. Like, I am, like, truly, honestly, I told my husband this a while ago and a couple of my friends, and I was like, I really feel like I woke up like maybe a week or 2 ago, maybe 2 weeks now. But I really woke up and I was like, okay, I'm ready to be a new person now. I'm ready to be a better version. Like, there are so many things that happen that were outside of my control, but it's like, okay, I understand. This is just, God, or if you don't believe in God, the universe, removing people from my atmosphere, from my sphere, who weren't really about me, who weren't really for me. And that's okay, because ripping off a Band-Aid hurts, but you know what that means? It also means you're healed, boo. You only take off a Band-Aid when you're healed. And you know what? I am healed. That is okay. I'm glad for it. We're moving forward. And I was just like, I'm ready to be a new person. The old me is in the closet. She's there for a reflection. But there's a new me right now, and I'm really grateful for that, and I'm really excited for the season that I'm walking into, and I'm just going to trust that good things are going to happen, So that's where I'm at, and I would love to know where you guys are at. So if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to comment down in the comment section. Let me know how you're doing, what you're working on, how you're feeling, all of that good stuff. But that is it for this episode of the Written in Melanin podcast, you guys. If you would be so kind, please rate this podcast wherever you're listening to this at. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss any more new videos on the channel. And if you'd like to support the Melanin Library to make sure it continues to exist as a free resource, then consider joining the Patreon, where tiers start for as little as $3 a month. Simply head over to patreon.com/writteninmelanin to sign up. And if you'd like to support me, CM Lockhart, as an author, then head over to my Ko-Fi page at ko-fi.com/CM Lockhart. You can donate once toward my current goal, or you can choose your own amount to donate monthly. You have the power to decide, so check it out. And there are links in the description box for absolutely everything, including where you can purchase my upcoming book, We Are the Origin, an epic fantasy novel about assassins who must save the gods in their realm from destruction, featuring original god lore, epic fight scenes, and, of course, black girls who aren't all that nice. It comes out on June 21st, 2022, and you can purchase a copy of it right now. Thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, I hope all your books are full of melanin.